All right, this is our next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. Today we're continuing the Mr. Perfect series. We're going to be on Mr. Perfect from 91 to 96. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank, and let's go ahead and kick it off. We started off, his up and coming through AWA, WWE, his first time around Pacific Northwest, his highs in WWE when he went back as Intercontinental Champion. Unfortunately, now that his injury has, subdued him, he's pretty much done at this point, and we don't know whether or not we were going to expect him back after SummerSlam. However, lucky for us, 5 months after SummerSlam on November 23rd on Superstars, he made his return to the WWE, only to become Ric Flair's executive consultant,
Yeah, and that's because Bobby Heenan,
financial advisor.
yeah, Heenan really didn't want to be on the road with Perfect with Flair all of the time. He wanted to just do the broadcasting thing, and so that's why they brought Perfect to kind of take that role.
So a glorified name to manager, yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. The following week, Perfect also became the color commentary of Superstars for the next full year, which was a suitable villainous character to Vince McMahon, play-by-play.
Yakety yak.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. Yakety yak, McMahon again.
I love that.
Somebody used to flip the pencil.
Oh, I could do that too, but knowing my luck, I'll drop it down. I ain't gonna do it. Going into 1992, during this time, Perfect assisted Flair in winning two World WWE Championships, including the Royal Rumble, and that was an amazing. That's probably the most stacked Rumble we've seen, probably to this day. Yeah. A couple of Rumbles here and there over the last 10 years may have rivaled that, but as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest roster you've ever had for a Rumble, and it was for the WWE title. And of course, he won the title back from Savage in October with Flair, with Perfect's help. Now, during the summer of '92, we were getting ready for Wembley Stadium. Randy Savage defending the title against the Ultimate Warrior. Because remember, for real quick thing, Savage beat Flair for the title at WrestleMania 8. Nothing Perfect can do. Now, at the time, and I didn't understand this because I really thought that either Flair should have fought Savage at SummerSlam or Flair should have fought Warrior.
What?
The two of them facing each other.
Yeah, it made no sense.
No, and leaving Flair out of SummerSlam.
Supposedly he was having the ear problem, the equilibrium. I don't know if that was the same time period. Or it might have been around that time, but I don't know. It was just weird.
Yeah. So what do Perfect and Flair do? They start offering up their services and their expertise to both men. So now you got to wonder whose side is going to Flair and Perfect.
Yeah, but we knew that.
We all knew what was going on. Come on. Now, Perfect never made it clear whose corner he would be in. Although that night, Flair and Perfect attacking the Ultimate Warrior and leaving him practically for dead, in the ring, you would assume that a deal was struck with Savage. However, when Savage was going up for the elbow drop and he saw Ultimate Warrior, and he's like, wait a minute, I didn't leave him like that. He looked around, he went, then he set his sights on Perfect, and instead of dropping the elbow on Warrior, he turned on the rope, proceeded to go after Flair, who hit Savage in the knee with a chair. Savage was counted out. Warrior gets the victory, but not the title. And Flair and Perfect attack Savage before Warrior intervened. Now we're friends again. Still a good fight, but now we're friends again. This feud between the four individuals, because you can put Perfect in there too, even though he's not wrestling, this escalated through the fall of 1992, which would lead up to a Survivor Series tag team match, which was supposed to be Flair and Razor Ramon versus Savage and the Ultimate Warrior. Unfortunately, a few weeks prior to the event, Warrior was released. I'll use that term. McMahon had others. Now, on November 16th episode of Primetime Wrestling, Savage they were interviewing Savage as far as who was going to be his partner in this match. He said that he was looking for the quote-unquote perfect partner. So everybody starts now looking at Mr. Perfect, who's on the panel of Primetime Wrestling. You had Bobby Heenan, Duggan, Hillbilly Jim, Vince McMahon. At first, Perfect laughed it off. And I remember watching this episode, and I was hysterical, too. I'm like, this dude's smoking something. I mean, Perfect? Come on. One, you don't know if he's ever going to wrestle again, and two, why would he turn
Why would he turn
on
on?
Flair and
Yeah,
Heenan?
yeah.
Because we've never seen him as a fan favorite before. As the show went on, Perfect gave Savage's offer some thought, which he accepted after Bobby Heenan pretty much degraded Perfect and demanded Perfect follow orders. He told him, and kind of quote, "You will fall in line."
That was a
You don't
mistake.
do that. Nope. And he slacked Perfect too, which again, you don't do. You think Bobby would have learned his lesson after he slapped Andre the Giant
Nope.
and got his ass whooped there? But in any event, Perfect dumped some water on Heenan's head, accepted Savage's offer, and for the first time in WWE, Perfect was a babyface. So that was a shocker. November 25th, 1992, at the Survivor Series, Perfect teamed up with Randy Savage now to face Ric Flair and the upcoming Razor Ramon. Former tag team champions, mind you, of AWA, now facing off against each other. Of course, we didn't know that back then, unless you were a hardcore fan, but cable was just still kind of new. Satellite TV was coming in, so, I mean, it is what it is. Now, at one point during the match, Perfect was on the verge of leaving Savage in the ring as he went down the aisle, contemplating what he should do. But changed his mind, came back, and both men were victorious. And when I watched that Survivor Series, I was like, I said, this was planned. This SOB. And then I was like, oh, okay, my mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you know his reputation.
It was cool seeing him as a babyface, though.
Yeah, it was. The fans didn't quite get on the bandwagon at Survivor Series because they didn't know what to think of it.
Took a little while.
But through 1993 now, they were definitely on his bandwagon. And if you talk about comeback wrestler of the year candidate here, I mean, and
it was out of nowhere. It was out of nowhere, so it was very unexpected.
And the card of people he faced in 1993 was amazing. Now, he made his return to singles competition January 2nd, 1993 on Superstars by defeating the Berserker. Okay, got to start somewhere, I guess.
Us.
or the original, the Viking.
The Viking, yeah.
Yeah, oh, Lord. January 24th, 1993, Perfect competed once again in the Royal Rumble. He entered at number 10, went straight for Ric Flair, who entered at number 1. Perfect eliminated Flair as well as Jerry Lawler and Skinner. He lasted 9 minutes, 15 seconds before being eliminated by Coco Beware and Ted DiBiase and an already eliminated Jerry Lawler. And this is where you thought a kind of feud was going to come because they were beating the hell out of each other through the aisleway and stuff. Now, they mentioned at the Rumble that on the next night of Monday Night Raw, Flair and Perfect are going to lock up for a career-ending match. So you hope neither one of them are going to win the Rumble. Don't worry, it was Yokozuna. January 25th, on Monday Night Raw, Perfect defeated Ric Flair in a loser leaves WWE match. Yeah, nobody ever fully leaves. They just...
Well, he did leave for a while. 8 years.
10 years. No, a little under 10 years. Well, the whole thing, what was it? I believe I heard or read something, I could be wrong, that McMahon would re-sign Flair, but he would be a mid-carder type thing.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be in the main event picture.
So he let him go. But they left on good terms.
Yeah, which is rare, especially with Vince. The episode was taped a week earlier on the 18th. However, on the 25th, Flair is out. Now, Mr. Perfect would often team with Bret Hart to face Lex Luger and Razor Ramon on the house show circuit. His next feud, and that's who his next feud was.
It was beyond perfection, yeah.
Yeah, the total package. Perfect's next feud was, in fact, the narcissist Lex Luger, who would berate Perfect during his promos. And, of course, Bobby Heenan had something to do with this because now he's pissed off at Perfect for Flair gone. Or how Monsoon put it, his meal ticket.
It was a good feud, though. I enjoyed it.
Yes, it was. I enjoyed it.
That's where Heenan involved. Heenan added to it.
You sort of wondered about, would Heenan step out of the broadcasting and now manage Lex Luger or kind of get involved in everything? But no, he stayed. He just berated him from the announce booth. On April 4th, 1993, WrestleMania 9, Mr. Perfect unfortunately lost to Lex Luger, even though Perfect's feet were clearly between the ropes.
And he got KO'd after, right? He got hit with the elbow.
He got knocked the F out. Yes, he did. Afterwards, and then after that, Perfect chasing Luger to the back, And for whatever reason, Shawn
Shawn
Michaels gets
Michaels, yeah, it
involved.
just
I mean,
happened.
where
Well,
is this?
they were just setting up the next feud, but yeah, it
Instead of
was
Tatanka
random.
at WrestleMania, I think it
It
should have been
was
perfect.
it was random though, but
It just came out of left
yeah.
field. But like you said, that's his next feud.
Hmm.
Now, May 17th edition of Monday Night Raw, Perfect qualified for the first ever King of the Ring tournament by
Hmm.
beating Doink. They learned from this one because this was Perfect's third attempt to
Right, right,
qualify for
right,
the
right,
King of the Ring tournament.
right,
Which
right, right,
thank God the next year when they had a double count out, all right, we're done. We'll get somebody
right,
else.
right, right, yeah, yeah.
This was weird because the first two matches ended in time limit draws against Doink.
Going, yeah,
You couldn't beat Doink.
yeah, but there was I don't remember exactly, but I think there was some chicanery involved. I
There
think
was
anyway.
Luger was involved in one of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course the first attempt was on April 5th on Wrestling Challenge, and the second was April 6th on Superstars.
Finally got in. He finally got in there.
Finally got in. Also on May 17th, Mr. Perfect cost Shawn Michaels the Intercontinental Championship against Marty Jannetty by throwing his towel in Michaels' face, and Jannetty rolled him up for the pin. Now, instead of Michaels focusing on Jannetty, he got up on the second
Yeah.
turnbuckle. Perfect threw the towel. He fell off the rope, and Jannetty rolled him up.
Mm. I remember them fighting on like in the street. I don't know if that was before or after this, because I think it was on Raw. Do you remember that where they were fighting and they were on top of?
Vaguely, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they were on top of a car. I think.
I think it was right after the IC title
Yeah, it
loss
was around there. I remember
because
that.
now Perfect made it personal for Shawn.
Yeah.
However, on June 6th, 93, Michaels once again became Intercontinental Champion as Diesel helped Michaels beat Jannetty in a
Hmm.
non-televised match in Albany. And that's where I love that guy from King of the Ring. You want it? You lost it? You want it? Can you hang on to this thing? I'll never forget that line. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. Oh man, just annoying voice. Now we go on to the King of the Ring. First ever televised
Yeah,
pay-per-view King
pay-per-view.
of the
Yeah,
Ring. Yeah,
yeah.
let me clear that up
All
because
right. At that,
they had a few.
but we didn't know that.
No, we
We
didn't. They
didn't
were
know
house
that.
shows,
Right,
pretty
right,
much.
right, right.
Glorified house shows.
Right.
Perfect beat Mr. Hughes in the first round. That ain't saying much.
He got hit in the head with the. Did he get hit in the head with the? Why am I remembering him getting hit in the head with an urn
By
by
disqualification.
DQ? Yeah.
So this sets up a rematch in the second round from SummerSlam
Mhm.
1991 against Bret the Hitman Hart. And man, we're waiting
Right.
for a good one. And
Babyface
now
versus babyface, and he's
Perfect is
healthy.
100%. Brett's 100%. And of course, I
Yeah.
love the back and forth
The
bantering
interview,
that they
yeah.
did. He goes, "I'm on top of my game." Brett's like, "You do it.
Hmm.
You weren't at
Hmm.
SummerSlam."
Hmm.
I
About the
loved it.
fathers. They were talking about their
My
fathers.
father could beat up your
Yeah.
father. Don't you talk about my
That was
father.
good stuff. And you didn't know who was gonna win. You thought maybe Perfect might go over this time.
Exactly in a rematch, yes. Unfortunately, for any Perfect fans that thought that, Bret Hart defeated Mr. Perfect, and then Bret went on to obviously win the King of the Ring tournament. But a show of respect, Mr. Perfect almost had that heel come out of him
Hmm.
again, but he shook his hand, smacked it, and then quickly got out of the ring before he did anything else. So it was good to see the respect between the two of
Yeah.
them
That was a
on
great
screen.
match.
We know the respect off
Hmm.
camera, but it was good to see there. August 30th, 1993, now at SummerSlam, Perfect attempted to become the first ever three-time Intercontinental Champion.
Three-peat.
And this, to me, was one of the best matches on that card. Shawn
Yeah.
Michaels
Yeah.
versus Mr. Perfect. We should
And
have seen this earlier in the year.
they had
Unfortunately,
some
we
good
didn't.
house show matches too.
Yes, they
Because
did.
you could find them like on YouTube and other
Hmm.
websites. They had good house show matches.
There was a couple that Perfect won by count out,
Yeah.
DQ.
Hmm.
Nobody ever really got pinned on that on the house show circuit to save face for this match. And unfortunately, it didn't go over clean
No.
because he lost the match by count out thanks to Diesel. So we don't even get a clean victor
No.
over them,
I thought Perfect was gonna
unfortunately.
win too. I thought Perfect was gonna get
I
a
did
three-peat.
too.
I thought he was gonna do it. I was disappointed as a fan because at this point I was a huge Mr. Perfect fan. Not that I wasn't before, but when he became a babyface, I became an even bigger
We
fan.
all
I
jumped
used to
on it.
spit the gum like him and smack it. I never
Yeah,
did the towel thing. I never did, but
I did that.
yeah, the towel thing I
I
never did.
accidentally hit my teacher with the
But the
gum,
gum, I
but
used to do that all the time. We all the time with the gum.
oh, the towel, yes, right after you. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so but unfortunately, he doesn't go over. And this match was good, but it could have. I felt like you didn't need Diesel. I thought these two were gonna tear the house down. I thought it was
They
gonna be
would.
perfect
They could have
Perfect
if
and
Diesel wasn't at ringside.
yeah, Perfect. I thought it was gonna be like Perfect and Brett again. I mean, not that it wasn't a good match, but I thought it was gonna be, at that
I think
level.
somebody should have gone clean.
Yeah,
Cause
yeah,
Sean is facing one of the elite Intercontinental
yeah, yeah.
champions. Because back then it's rare that you're a two time,
Well,
let alone three. I mean,
well,
Sean's now a two time. The So let's do this two time versus two time. Let's do this
yeah,
and let's see who the better person
yeah,
is.
but
You want to make it even better? Throw Brett in there, triple threat.
yeah,
But they didn't do those. No, WWE didn't do those back then. On September 27th on Monday Night Raw, Perfect participated in an Intercontinental title battle royal due to Shawn Michaels being quote unquote stripped of the
for the
title.
title, yeah.
Because he tested positive for steroids. He's like, I've taken a lot of things. Steroids ain't one of them. Perfect was eliminated from the match, and Razor Ramon would wind up becoming champion
That's
after him and Martel came down to the final two, and then the following week, Razor beats Rick Martel. So unfortunately, that's the second time Perfect has been screwed. Well, not well screwed the first time. He came up short here
yeah.
to become a three-time champion. November 7th, 1993, Perfect wrestled his last televised match on Wrestling Challenge, defeating Iron Mike Sharp.
Right
Wow,
now,
if you're gonna go out, beat Iron
right,
Mike.
and he was supposed to be at Survivor Series,
Yes, he
right?
was. He was set to compete, teaming with Razor Ramon, Marty Jannetty, and the 1-2-3 Kid to face IRS, Diesel, Adam Bomb, and Rick Martel.
Right. Here's
However, go ahead.
here's where it gets kind of fuzzy because there's like
Yeah,
conflicting stories.
very much.
One story I read was that Perfect's back was acting up again and he was having problems. The other story that I heard was that he was pissed about not getting that IC run again, and he felt like, "What am I doing here?" And so that's why he left. So I don't know if maybe it two both are true, or maybe one is. I don't know, but
It's possible. I would think that he would. Yeah, both would be true. In matter of fact, because he didn't. He had a hell of a year in '93,
you
but it
did
didn't really go anywhere.
right.
And
And maybe
I
maybe
think
he
a
was banged
three-time
up.
reign. Well, yeah, he could have
Maybe he
been
was
banged up
banged up
again
too, and he's just like the hell with this. So I don't know. And
because he
then
went into a full-time schedule.
yeah,
Right from
right,
Survivor Series on, he didn't even. It
right,
wasn't part-time to
right,
ease back in, so
right,
it
right,
could have
right.
been aggravating him.
hmm So then from here, I think this is where the Lloyd's of London starts part one, because I think
Yeah,
that he does put in some sort of a claim. I think like a short-term claim, because those Lloyd's of London, and we've talked about this in the Ravishing Rick Rude, it's an
yeah,
insurance policy a lot of these wrestlers used to take. A lot of them were scamming too. Not saying Perfect was scamming, but a lot of them were, which is why at some point Lloyd's of London just cut off all the wrestlers and we're not paying you guys out. There were different policies. Like you'd be out for like, let's say 6 months, you'd get paid a much smaller uh portion of money, but then you could take like a lump sum and you could never wrestle again. But you
yeah.
could be a commentator, you could be a manager. So I think he took like a short-term thing here. And then I don't know, he goes in 94, right? Is when he comes back for
Yeah. So now 1994 rolls around. We're ready for WrestleMania. We've got Brett Luger, co-Rumble winners, going up against Yokozuna. And Mr. Perfect on March 20th, 1994, at Madison Square Garden makes a surprise return
surprise
as a
return, yeah.
special guest
Out of
referee.
nowhere, out of nowhere.
I did not see
You
this
hear the
coming.
music? I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, he's back. And he looked big too. Was it me or he looked
Yes,
like
he did.
yeah,
His arms,
yeah,
unless he
yeah,
was
yeah.
trying to, make it that way, wearing an
He
extra
looked like
size smaller.
he looked like he put on some weight. I don't know if it was good weight or bad weight. I couldn't tell, but he did look
Couldn't
bigger
tell you couldn't tell with his outfit
with the
on.
referee, yeah, the referee outfit. So
Now he was assigned the first title match.
yes,
Piper was
yes,
assigned the second,
yes.
again for Lex Luger and Yokozuna. Wow, if you didn't see something coming there, because a year prior we have these two guys
Right, I
fighting, and
know, but
now
we still
and
thought he was a baby face though. At least I did.
I thought he was because he got a standing ovation,
Right, right,
and
right,
he
right, right.
acknowledged the fans.
Yeah, yeah,
So if he didn't do like he would normally do,
yeah.
his egotistical side.
He keeps getting distracted. Luger's starting to get annoyed, right?
Well, I got to agree with Luger because you're worrying about a guy that's
It was
Fuji's on the
intentional.
apron.
It was
Yeah,
intentional. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
Fuji's on the apron, but more towards the outside. He's not even in the
Yeah,
ring, and he's focusing all of that on his
yeah.
attention on that.
Finally,
Now, Perfect disqualified Luger after he put his hands on him. Like, come on,
because he
like
had him
get
beat.
into the
Because
match.
Luger had him beat. Remember, Luger
Hmm.
has Yoko beat, and Perfect's not counting, and he like, come on, wake up. I think I don't know, he pushes him, right? He kind of like,
Yes. And then
right, and
he looks
then
at
he's
the
listening,
shirt.
and then he DQs him.
Oh, you SOB,
Dude, I
boy.
was pissed, bro. I was pissed.
So
Not
was
even that
I.
I was a Luger fan, but I was like, come on, man. Like,
Well,
what are
this
you doing?
this is Luger now getting screwed the second time.
Right. So he DQs him. Then they have that backstage altercation. I'll never forget this because I used to repeat this all the time in school. I used to be like, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, remember? Perfect says that's a Luger backstage. And this is we're thinking this is setting up the feud, and I vividly remember this. I remember him on I think it was the was it on damn it, was it the funeral parlor or the Brother Love show? It might have been the Brother no, I'm sorry. Remember Shawn Michaels had a show. He had the
Heartbreak
Heartbreak
Hotel.
Hotel. I remember Mr. Perfect showing up after this on the Heartbreak Hotel. He did an interview and he's a
Yeah.
heel. Now he's a
Oh
heel.
yeah, he turned heel
And it's setting
WrestleMania.
up the feud, and I remember it was the WrestleMania Revenge tour,
And
and
he
I rem
explained on there why he did it.
right, right. And it was the WrestleMania Revenge tour. He was booked, Mr. Perfect versus Lex Luger. I remember that.
Yep. And he explained on Heartbreak Hotel
Yeah,
that the reason why he screwed Luger was because of Luger tongue twisters.
you don't put your hands.
Luger's illegal win over him at
Right,
WrestleMania
right.
9.
I know. You also don't
And
put
you
your
don't
hands
put
on
your
referee.
hands on your
Yeah, yeah.
referee. Yeah. Well, that's
You don't put your hands on
that's
Mr. Perfect. Yeah, no.
exact. I loved it. However, this whole feud that they're setting up never happens. As the plans for the feud was scrapped after Perfect's back problems
Right, I heard.
allegedly flares up again,
Yeah, I've heard
and then he
different
leaves
stories.
shortly after.
I heard a back. I heard his ankle was messed up, and I don't know. Lloyd's of London. I don't know. There's so many different stories, but yeah,
Then there was another one, but I didn't buy it that Perfect wasn't happy if he went into the feud that he wasn't going to come over Luger.
there's all sorts of
There's all
who
sorts
the
of
hell knows? Rumor and innuendo. It's the wrestling business, but he
exactly.
just vanishes. He just vanishes.
Yep, like my paycheck, just
Yeah.
gone. So now we're moving on to 1995. Perfect took a year off to recover from his back injury and returned at the Survivor Series as a color commentator. This surprised me too.
Yeah, and I was
It's
like,
over a year now, and I'm hearing his music. I'm like, damn, he's back again.
I was happy to see him back, but I was like, I want to see this guy wrestle, man. And back then, I didn't know that he was hurt. Like, I didn't know about
Oh,
I
none of
did
us did.
like
Yeah.
I don't even know if I knew about the SummerSlam injury. I might not even have known that at
91.
that point. Yeah, at that point, I don't even know if I
No,
knew.
I had no
It was
idea.
years later we found out all
Yeah,
this. Yeah, yeah.
I just thought he looked off in his game a little bit,
Right.
but yeah, I never knew that he had
Right.
that
No.
back injury that was preventing him.
Yeah. So now he's doing the commentary. He's funny though. He's good at the
Unfortunately,
commentary, but we want to see him wrestle.
exactly. The following week, Jerry Lawler announces that Perfect will replace him as commentator on Superstars with
Right.
Vince McMahon. Oh,
Right.
good. This was his second stint as commentator on Superstars. Perfect also commentated at the Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, and In Your House 10 Mind Games. And even then, I was kind of hoping that he would get involved. Now, heading into 1996, on April 8th, on Monday Night Raw, Perfect was commentating during the main event, which was Shawn Michaels and Jerry the King Lawler. And so Diesel joined the announce table.
Oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah. We actually covered this. I believe we covered this, right?
I think this was the last one we've done
Yeah,
until
before
Netflix.
Netflix.
Get your stuff together, man. We need no, never mind. Now after the match, the match was good. Shawn Michaels wins. Lawler's trying to do something foolish. Shawn super kicks him and he gets the victory. Of course, it's Jerry Lawler. You're not losing the title to him. After the match, Diesel and Shawn go at it. But what came out of left field here is Perfect helps Diesel, on the attack of Shawn Michaels by throwing him the belt,
right?
And Diesel hitting him with it. Now we're like, whoa, what's going on here? Because I know Diesel doesn't need an insurance policy,
right. And Perfect's not going into a feud with Shawn, so
no, at least not that we know of
right.
yet.
It was just kind of random.
I guess they would at this point. They're throwing stuff up against the wall, see what sticks. Well. Now, since that didn't go anywhere, and he did referee Shawn Michaels versus the British Bulldog not too long after that, which now, even then, you think, right. Is there going to be a feud? Because
they teased it too. I remember they teased the feud. Do you remember they ran into each other and there was something where they ran into each other in the locker room, like they gave each other kind of a look
and the stare down.
So I think this is what I think because I kind of remember something Bruce Pritchard talking about it, that he had been mentioning he wanted to wrestle again. This comes into play later on. He had been telling him that I got the itch, but I got this Lloyd's of London thing. So yeah,
Yep, and that's coming. So you think when Perfect managed, no, I'm not excuse me, managed, refereed that match, that he's going to do to Luger to what he did to Luger and screw him.
right,
Only this time, not disqualify Sean, but
right.
make sure the Bulldog came away with the
Hmm.
champ as the champion. He didn't. In mid '96, Perfect now began an angle with Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, where Perfect would come out during his
I agree.
matches and steal his female escorts,
Yeah,
which would
yeah,
distract Helmsley
yeah.
and affect his performance in the ring. This was actually funny because now you're like, okay, Perfect's a fan favorite now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what to think at this point. Now, during this rivalry, if you want to call it that, Perfect also helped Mark Merrow become the Intercontinental
Right.
Champion
Right.
because on September 23rd's edition of Monday Night Raw, Merrow defeated Farouk in the IC title tournament finals. He also helped Merrow retain the title against Goldust at In Your House Buried Alive. Who would know that this was leading somewhere? October 21st, Monday Night Raw, Perfect was going to make his return to the ring
Right.
against Helmsley.
Right.
And
And you know,
I was looking forward to seeing
yeah.
this.
And I don't know if I saw an interview I read somewhere. He was gonna wrestle that night, and at the last minute,
They
he
pulled the
just
plug.
they pulled the plug on it, and he doesn't wrestle. And then go ahead, tell the story of what happens with
Now, again, he was supposed to return against Helmsley,
yeah.
but
I was
was
hyped up.
attacked. Oh, so was I.
I couldn't wait.
He was attacked by Helmsley backstage
Backstage, he gets hit.
moments before the match.
Gets hit with a card or something like that.
Now, yeah,
He hurts his knee.
unable to compete, Perfect convinces Mark Merrow to not
Right.
only wrestle Helmsley, but to defend the Intercontinental title as well. How? Oh, I, I would have just, I know it's storyline, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
let's look at it outside the box for a minute. I agree to take this match for you. Why the hell would I put my title
Right,
up
right.
if
It
I'm
makes no
just
sense.
subbing for you?
Right. But
This turned out to be a ruse. And by this point, when I'm watching it that night, I'm like, hold on.
you had a bad feeling. I had a bad
Yes,
feeling
I
too.
did. Because of Perfect's track record.
Yeah.
Perfect helped Helmsley defeat Merrow and become the new Intercontinental Champion.
Right, right. I was disappointed too because I'm like,
I
oh
was
man,
too.
because I didn't know. I mean, years later, I found out he was supposed to fight, and then we'll get into the story. But I was like, oh, they pulled a swerve on us. Like he was never gonna wrestle. They were just doing this thing with Merrow and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and then he becomes Helmsley's manager for like 2 seconds before he takes off. Right?
Yeah,
It
his
was very
mentor,
brief,
manager, whatever.
but it was brief.
Yeah. November 5th, 1996, that was Perfect's last televised appearance as he left shortly before Survivor Series. So it was
Yeah,
literally like 2 appearances, maybe.
right,
And then Helmsley said he kicked him to the curb.
right. But then the real story,
Now there was speculation to why Hennig left. One, and again, all of these are supposeds. So let's just put it that way. One was WWE wanted Curt to return to the ring, and in the midst of negotiations, WWE sent a letter to Lloyd's of London canceling Curt's policy. Bruce Pritchard supposedly sent the letter to Lloyd's, and in a meeting with Curt, he claimed to know nothing about it.
right.
Hennig pulled out a copy of the letter signed by Pritchard and showed it to him. Perfect left the company after his contract expired, and in mid 1997 now, he went and signed with WCW.
Right, because the thing, and there's multiple sides to the story. Unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
Henning is not around anymore to tell his version. Because I've
No.
heard I've heard Bruce Pritchard tell two different stories. One was, oh, I didn't know anything about a letter, and then I heard him say that he did send the letter,
Yes,
and
he did.
that he said he sent the letter at the request of Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect said, I need you to send this letter to get me released, and then I can sign with you guys. I don't know what the hell the truth is. I don't know if he had to like buy himself out of that Lloyd's of London policy, because if you say you can never wrestle again, then you have to pay back whatever money if you want to sign a new contract. Because Rude had the same thing, remember?
Exactly. I was just about to be, yeah. He
Rude
asked
wanted
Bischoff
Bischoff
to pay it back, yeah.
to buy him out. So there's all sorts of conflicting stories, but the bottom line is it had something to do with that Lloyd's of London thing. It had something
Definitely.
to do with it, and he no showed, right? He was supposed to make appearances. I don't know if it was as
Yeah,
valet or
he just up and
commentary.
left.
I think it was commentary too. He was supposed to be there. He just up and left. We didn't know he was negotiating with Bischoff.
exactly.
And later on, we'll get into that. And we're not gonna do that episode right now, the WCW stuff, but we will get into that.
In the future,
Yeah, yeah,
we'll cover that, and then his return to WWE.
right, right. But it just fell
He
apart.
just vanished, and then
Yeah,
in midway 1997, you see Curt Hennig come out, and you're like, wait a minute, what?
right, right. Yeah.
Because I honestly thought that he was one of those guys like Undertaker, like Shawn Michaels, that were lifers to
Yeah,
Vince.
yeah, and and they were on good terms. Unfortunately, it ended really badly. 2002, he comes back for 2 seconds, but whatever.
Well, where else are you
By
gonna
the
go?
way, yeah, at that point, right? Well, XWF for 2 seconds, but we'll get into all
Yeah,
that. We'll get
seriously.
into all of that when we do the WCW stuff later on. But I mean, he had a spectacular run. Unfortunately, the injuries, politics and injuries. I'm gonna lean towards the injuries more because once Hogan left, there was a window and he was banged up that whole time.
Yes.
Had he been healthy, I think he gets a run. He gets a run at the world title, I think.
So both times you think it was injury?
Well, yeah, I mean, just considering like, the on and off, the 91 injury, maybe got hurt again in 93, you
It is
know.
possible because I mean, as severe as his back injury was to
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
him
yeah.
out for that long,
Mhm.
and like I said earlier, he just jumped into the deep end and said, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Did not even
Mhm.
try, appearances here and there.
Right.
It all could have caught up to him, and then he leaves, gets the surgery, comes back,
Yeah.
tries it again. Only in '96, I think, instead of injury, I
Right.
think that was politics with Pritchard. And then finally, I think he just says, "To hell with it,"
And he goes, and
and he goes to
it's a shame,
WCW.
but he still had a great career. He's still a legend. So
Oh,
one of the
tremendous
best ever.
career.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would have loved to see a three-time Intercontinental Champion and a world title on him.
Absolutely.
Never got to see it.
All right. That's a review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. See you guys soon.
Take care.